Welcome to The Explainer. Today we are diving deep into the absolutely revolutionary world of New York's ballroom culture, a whole universe that was born out of pure defiance, incredible creativity, and honestly, the absolute need to just exist.
I mean, chances are you've probably used its language, right? But do you know the powerful and often really painful story of where all of that actually came from? It's a story that has shaped our modern world way more than you might think.
Okay, so let's get right into it. This is so much more than just parties and fashion. It's this really profound story about survival, about what it means to choose your own family, and about creating a world for yourself when the one you were born into actively denies you a place in it.
So, to really understand ballroom, you have to get where it started. And it didn't start with a celebration. It started as a direct, powerful answer to exclusion.
This right here. This lays out the whole reason for being. You gotta picture it. 1970s New York. Even inside the so-called counterculture of drag, black and brown queens were still being told, nope, not for you. So what did they do? They didn't just ask for a spot. They went and built an entirely new world for themselves.
Yeah, facing a society that just shut them out at every turn, they didn't ask for a seat at the table. No, they built a whole new palace, and it came with its own rules, its own royalty, and most importantly, its own families.
The balls, they were the very heart of this new universe. These were way more than just pageants. They were battlegrounds, a place to fight for glory, for recognition, and for a chance to prove you were worth something in a world that was constantly telling you that you weren't. Winning here, it meant everything. Thinking of it like countries at the Olympics, man, that just perfectly captures the scale, right? This wasn't some hobby. This was about immense pride and identity. You were out there representing your chosen family on the biggest stage imaginable.
And this is so incredibly important to understand. A house was not just a team you competed with. For so many LGBTQ+ kids who were thrown out of their own homes, houses like the legendary House of Extravaganza, they became literal lifelines. We're talking shelter, safety, guidance, the family structure they so desperately needed.
And this pier was their town square. Seriously, the Christopher Street Pier wasn't just some random spot. It was a sanctuary for a whole generation of queer youth, many of whom were homeless. This pier was their living room, it was their community center, it was the one place where these chosen families could just be.
Of course, you know, the incredible glamour of the ballroom floor was a powerful escape, but it could never completely erase the harsh and often brutal realities that were waiting right outside the door.
This quote, it's just heartbreaking. It's from the house mother Angie Extravaganza, talking about the death of Venus Extravaganza in the film Paris is Burning. Venus was this bright, young star in the scene, and she was tragically murdered. It's just a devastating reminder of the very real violence and danger that was a constant threat.
And then came the moment that this fiercely protected underground world just exploded onto the global stage, and it changed pop culture forever.
And the speed at which this happened is just wild. In 1990, one song, Madonna's Vogue, took the signature dance of this scene and basically broadcast it to the entire planet. All of a sudden, dancers like Jose and Luis Extravaganza went from the New York piers to global superstardom, and balls started popping up in cities from Paris to London.
But that moment, it was complicated. The reaction inside the community was really split. On one hand, you had people like the Extravaganzas who were just so grateful for this life-changing opportunity. But on the other hand, you had pioneers like Dorian Corey who raised really valid points about cultural appropriation, that their world was being packaged and sold without giving full credit to where it came from. Both of those feelings are a vital part of the story.
And the influence, it didn't stop with a dance move or one song. Not even close. It's woven into the very fabric of our culture today, especially in the way that we talk.
I mean, just think about it. Terms like reading or throwing shade, serving realness, this is just a tiny sample of the language that was literally invented on the ballroom floor, that is now part of our everyday global conversation. This was language forged in a subculture, and now it's used by millions who might have no idea where it started.
And its influence today in media is just undeniable.
Emmy-winning shows like Pose and RuPaul's Drag Race, they are built on the very foundation of ballroom. The categories, the judging, the lingo, that whole spirit of competition, it's all a direct descendant of those original New York balls.
But you know, for all the glamour and all the trophies and the pop culture fame, this is the real legacy. Beyond everything else, the most profound thing that ballroom culture gave us was its one unifying purpose: to create family and to lift each other up when the rest of the world absolutely refused to.
And that kind of brings us to a final thought here. Ballroom created language, style, and family, all as tools for survival. And now, those very tools are global trends. So the question that's left is, when that happens, what is gained in visibility and acceptance? And what gets lost from the original heart and soul of it all? That's the complex, brilliant legacy of a world born from Defiance.